What is up, everyone? Dan the Card Man back again. Today we're talking through Tiffany Cards, which is another fantastic website that you guys can use as a tool to track stolen cards, track fake cards. So when you're buying, selling, maybe even making a deal at a trade show or a card show, you're not going to get scammed yourself, because obviously, as I've said many times on the channel in the past, there's so many scammers out there that are trying to be as elaborate as possible these days. These kinds of websites are fantastic. Now, if you're interested in looking at other things I've spoken about like this in the past, I've spoken about the Facebook Card Scammer Tracker group, which is a great group on Facebook that does the same sort of thing as this. It's a bit quick, obviously, because you can interact with people immediately on Facebook. So I'll put a link down to that below, as well as the video up on screen now. And then also, I've obviously spoken about breakout cards and Waxy Museum podcast in the past as well. Breakout cards are some really, really good insights on how to spot vintage fakes. And then Waxy Museum podcast obviously has his RPA tracker, which allows you to see whether things have been patch swapped. As said in the past on this channel, there's been plenty of times with Kevin Durant, I believe, where patches have been swapped for his RPAs. So this video is essentially going to be spoken about in the same light. Now, Tiffany Cards, I'm not sure how long they've been around. I believe I discovered them a number of months ago now, and I just check in every now and then I thought you guys should be made aware of this as well. Now, the website does load a little bit slow when you're trying to load the specific pages, but this is essentially what it looks like. There's a few different tabs that you can jump into. So obviously they've got an altered card database. They've got it essentially by sport, and then obviously a stolen list as well. Now, I'll jump into the baseball one as an example, because this database down below does take a while to load. So if you click into it, don't be shocked if you don't see this table load straight away. And the reason why this is pretty cool is because they have a huge list, right, of all these baseball cards by every sport, because they've obviously got other sections as well. They clearly indicate to you the card in question. They've got the names, the cert, which is fantastic, and also who even, flagged it to them in the first place, which this kind of attribution I think is really, really good from them, because what this will allow you to do is, maybe if you can't get in contact with Tiffany Cards for whatever reason, or maybe there's a conversation you want to have with somebody that, did flag this, you might be able to have a conversation and then work out, maybe answer some questions. You guys, I'm just talking hypotheticals now, but you get what I'm trying to say. So this is great because you can come in here and determine, okay, what is wrong with this card? Is it altered? They've got a flag here, or is it fake? Is it stolen? So on and so forth, which is great. They've got another one here for baseball, basketball, obviously. Again, you can scroll for days. You can see how tiny this search bar is, right? It's worth coming in here, and if you want, like they say here, if you've got a specific card in question and you want to find out if it's on this list, come to the page, wait for it to load, do Control F if you're on your PC, type in the cert, type in the name, and if it comes up, you've got some questions that you need to be asking the prospective buyer or seller. And then obviously as well, if you're on your phone, you can take the instructions here on how to, use the find and replace, not the find and replace, the find word function. Now this is really, really cool because, like I said, they've also got a list here for specifically stolen cards. So if there's a card that you have a questionable mindset on whether it's stolen, you come into here and check the same sort of thing, and then you'll get the answer that you're looking for. This is also really great, and the reason why I wanted to flag it to you is not just for tracking purposes, for you to work out from a buying and selling perspective, but also if you've maybe identified something that is stolen, is fake, is altered, and you want to flag it with these guys, you come and do it here. They've got instructions on what to do if you do find out a card is stolen, but then also they've got an option here for you to jump in and, say, hang on a minute, guys, I've discovered this card is fake, I've discovered it is altered, how do we go about adding it to your database? So keep that front of mind when you're experiencing this sort of stuff, because pages like this are absolutely fantastic in my opinion. They go so unnoticed, and like I've said many times in the past, we're getting so many more people these days that are trying to fake slabs, they're trying to alter cards, they're trying to, steal things. Obviously those things have always been prevalent within the hobby, let alone life in general, right? But it just seems to be becoming much more common these days, not just because we've got more people in the hobby, but also because of the dollar figure that's associated with the hobby. Now, some of these cards are worth a small fortune. Some of them are worth more than a house. So what does that tell you? That tells you that people are going to do whatever they can to try and rip other people off. So you need to better protect yourself as much as possible. Like I said, you've always got to be asking these sorts of questions and being essentially doing your due diligence, right? Because not everybody always does that. People are too trusting. But something like this website is going to help you if you maybe are too scared to ask some of these questions. Like, you should still be asking these questions, but at a minimum, if you're doing a big deal for a high-end card or a vintage card, or you're concerned that the card might be stolen, come to this website. Go to the Facebook Card Scammer Tracker group that I'll put down below. Go and chat to Breakout Cards if it's a vintage card. Go and check Waxy Museum Podcast RPA Tracker if it's obviously an RPA, because all these things in aggregation, in combined, can actually protect you a lot as a potential buyer and investor. There's nothing worse than you spending a small fortune on a card and then you'll find out later that you got ripped off because the card was fake. Or there's nothing worse than you buying a card, then it turns out it's stolen, then you're shit out of luck, right? It's completely unfortunate. You see that happen a lot in many different hobbies where people essentially buy stolen goods. They don't know the goods were stolen, and then they can't get their money back, right? Because the scammer that sold it to them is long gone. The police seize the asset if they do end up finding out about it, and then you've got nothing to show for it, right? Which is really unfortunate. So instead of like repeating myself, I'm going to repeat myself again, but please check this website out and the others, because things like this are going to protect you. We need more and more of this sort of stuff. When you do find stuff, like I said, please flag it in their database. Like, I'm not sure how quickly they do respond when things are flagged to them, but if they are a bit slow, push them. Keep messaging them until you get the answer. This is the kind of thing where the people, we say this all the time, right? It's in life in general. The people that want to do bad things are constantly trying to do the bad things. The people that are happy and are the good guys at the end of the day don't rush to do this sort of stuff, right? They'll get scammed. They'll be like, okay, well, it's only $50. Well, the logic is if you do come into this website, flag it, and maybe you list the person's name that sold it to you or so on and so forth, or you put it on the Facebook card scammer tracker group, by you putting that person's name, by you giving that detail, it might protect somebody else, which is why we need to be doing it. So, like I said, please let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Let me know if you've had a chat with the guys from Tiffany Cards before. I need to reach out to them. I haven't spoken to them before, and I really love to maybe do a live stream with them or something along those lines to understand what goes on within the back end of this website, or maybe what they've done in the past, or some of these big scams that maybe are untracked, because I think, or uncovered, not untracked, I should say, because this sort of stuff, like I just said, needs to be spoken about a lot more within the hobby. Too many people are getting scammed these days, and it's not good enough. And I know some people will come out and say, well, that's on you for not doing your due diligence before you do the deal, but like, I don't really care about that. I'm here to protect people, right? And I know some people might say that sort of stuff is far-fetched. It's not your responsibility, but I don't care. I want to make sure that people don't get scammed. So if I make a video like this to educate some other people, where's the harm in that? So like I said, please share your thoughts on this down in the comments below. My video for this week, as in for this Friday, might be pretty interesting, so keep an eye out for that. There's a few things happening with regards to that backyard break situation, about maybe some of these hot boxes, some of the questions that I've raised in some of my videos from the last 2 weeks. I'm still waiting for answers on. There's a few things there that seem very questionable, not just with backyard breaks, but with some of these other large breakers, maybe getting serial numbers that indicate a hot box to them from somebody within that process, right? And I'm still corroborating this information, but the fact I've had so many people independently tell me this information, all within, similar wording of each other, not in the sense that they were copied, but obviously that they, had, maybe information that indicates to them whether this might be true or not, right? So there's a few things happening there, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching, and like I always say, I appreciate your support. If you think I've said something wrong, let me know down in the comments below. I love having a chat with you all, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.